Hi everyone, Materim here again with another narrative battle, and this one has my Empire army facing off against the Beastmen in a 2,000 point siege battle. Felix Weishoff looked out over the walls of the fortress at Vorgarden and saw the sea of brown-furred forms at the edge of the forest beyond the open causeway. It had been nearly a month since the Beastmen forces had driven them here, and he knew their patience for the siege would not last much longer. Unfortunately, neither would his men. The fortress was not ready for a siege like this, and the supplies were running dangerously low. He only hoped that they would be able to hold off the beastmen until the reinforcements arrived. He wondered, as he often did, why this barbarian woman was so important to the beastmen. All she had done since her arrival was throw herself against the walls of her prison and scream blasphemies. All in all, Felix felt it was a childish response to her captivity, and one that did little to change her situation. But he could not expect barbarians to act as civilized people, he supposed. Suddenly, a loud horn sounded from the beastman camp, and a sea of dirty forms began to pulse forward. It had begun, and only if Sigmar was with them did the men of the Empire have any chance to see tomorrow's sunrise. Alright, so here you see the fortress at Vortgarden that the Imperial forces are bravely defending, and the Beastmen forces that surround it. For those of you who don't know how the siege game works, basically you build one castle, one army is on the defending side, and there are three basically objectives that they have to capture. Two that are chosen by the attacking player and one that's chosen by the defending player. In this game, the two towers at the front of the castle and the one on the left-hand side, they have markers on them. Those are the three objectives. If, at the end of 5 turns, the Beastmen control all 3 of them, they win. If they control 2, the game is determined by points, and if they control less than that, I win. Also, one of my units is held in reserve, and when it comes on, if it can make it through the gates in the center of that top wall, while I control them, I win automatically. So, with that kind of understanding, let's go ahead and get into the deployment. Now, this deployment is going to show my army after the starvation rolls have been made. In the siege game, every person on the defending force, every model has to roll a d6, and on a 5 or a 6, they take a wound with no armor saves allowed. So I'm going to tell you what the starting numbers are and what you see there. So here, defending the southern tower, is my unit of 10 huntsmen, which 2 of the poor little halflings starved to death, and they have full command with them. And also, by the rules of the siege, you can have both a unit and a war machine in each section of the building. So that's what I have here. In the top tower, I have what was originally a unit of 20 swordsmen, or I'm sorry, 20 great swords, that thanks to starvation have been reduced down to 11 with full command. There is a cannon that thanks to starvation has taken a wound. And my level 4 Mage of Light, Felix Weishoff, carrying my Dispel Scroll, who has also taken a wound from starvation. In the next section of the castle is a unit of 10 handgunners with full command that have been reduced to 5 by the starvation. In the castle courtyard itself is my BSB, Captain Derek Hosberg, with the Armor of Destiny. He hasn't taken any wounds or anything. He's just very top-heavy and doesn't stand up without the magnet's help. In the gateway, which can breathe fire once per game, I have the Hellblaster Volley Gun, which has also taken a wound from starvation, as well as my engineer Axel Vorschaft, who is a master engineer with the Ruby Ring of Ruin. He has not taken a wound. The other thing to note is that the tower that the great swords are in is an upgraded wizard's tower. So as long as my wizard's in there, he knows he's a lore master to the lore of light. Then, on the next section of wall, I have another unit of 10 handgunners with full command that have been reduced to 5 handgunners from starvation. Next to that, I have a unit of 30 halberdiers that have been reduced to 18 19 by starvation. There's also another great cannon who has taken a wound from starvation, and my general, Heinrich von Grunberg, the Archlector of the Empire, who is wearing armor of meteoric iron and talisman of preservation. So basically what you see here, because I just rolled insanely high, is that I've basically lost half of my entire army to the starvation rolls, which is very, very bad. And I do have a unit of 20 swordsmen who are my relief force, and they don't starve because obviously they're the relief force. But what I get to balance this out is now I get to essentially shoot twice with every ranged and war machine unit I have in the castle. So hopefully I'll be able to thin down some of the Beastmen units as well. And this is the deployment of the Beastmen, and this is actually done before I do any of my shooting. So in the bottom here is a unit of 10 Gore with full commands and shields. Up there at the top corner is a unit of 3 Minotaur with full command, additional hand weapons, and the blackened plate. So they have like a 2-up ward versus fire, I believe is what that gives them. Then here there's a unit of 19 Bestigor Herd with full command and the Man-Bane standard. With them is a level 2 Bray Shaman to Lore of the Wild and an Iron Curse icon on him. Next to that is a unit of 10 Ungor Raiders with a champion. Next to that is a Gorgon, and he has the upgrade for the siege game that will let him batter down my walls if he can attack them. So he's got to die. And you can see there next to him is another unit of 10 Ungor Raiders, also upgraded with a champion. And then here you see in the siege tower that my 3-year-old daughter painted for us, is a big 30-man Gore Herd with additional hand weapons and full command. Hanging out with them is his Great Bray Shaman, who's level 4 Lore of Beasts, Talisman of Preservation, Dispel Scroll, and the Hag Tree Fetish, who is Morgor, his general. And then he has Morgrul, the Wargor BSB, who has Many-Limbed, additional hand weapon, Gnarled Hide, Gouged Tusk, Beast Banner, and heavy armor. And in the top corner, in the red and blue there, you can see my swordsmen of Altdorf are just hanging out there waiting to be the relief force and come on and save my poor starving army from the assault of these nasty beastmen. So, first thing that happens during my 2 starting turns of shooting is I blow that Gorgon straight back to hell. I knew I needed to take him down quick so he didn't batter down the walls. Oh, and you can actually see here, my general also took a wound from starvation at the start of the turn, so the Archlector is suffering along with his people. But yeah, so I blew down the Gorgon, mainly because I need the walls to stay strong here. Then I just open up on this 19-man Bestigor Herd. All that's left by the time I'm done with it is 3 models. I think it's the command from the unit and the level 2 Bray Shaman is all that's left there. So, having faced the might of the Imperial shooting... Oh, and I think I did a couple of wounds to these Gore here on this side with the Huntsman, but it's immaterial. So the attacking force gets to go first. They charge. I think I might take 1 more out from stand and shoot here. The other thing about the rules for the siege is that everybody that is in a castle section has rocks that they can stand and shoot that are like quick to fire strength 3. And so the great swords use their quick to fire and actually inflicted a wound on the Minotaurs as they came in and charged that side too, so that was pretty funny. And then over here on the other side, the siege tower moves into contact with my tower, but my unit's so big we put them here and know it's there. Now, the reason why this is important is that if you're on the ground and attacking a wall section or a tower section, your initiative and weapon skill are halved. If you're in the siege tower, that is not the case. And I was totally unable to destroy the siege tower during my shooting, so now I've got a big 30-man Gore Herd to deal with, plus a couple of characters right here in one of my towers that is also one of the objectives for the game. So the Beastman player is coming on real strong, And at this point, I really don't know that I have the manpower left after the starvation rolls to hold that unit off. And then he moves what's left of this shattered unit over here to provide magical support, and mainly just to stop me from shooting them with the handgunners and getting extra points in case it does come down to points. So I don't really remember his magic doing anything super important at this point. So we go into shooting, and these two Ungor Raider units both let loose into this wall section and take out one of my handgunners. And then we go into close combat, and in an amazing show of bravery, my Halfling Huntsman actually managed to repel the Beastmen invaders. I know he inflicted 2 wounds on me. I think I inflicted 2 on him too. Or maybe just 1, but either way, I'm stubborn and close enough to my BSB who's hanging out in the courtyard to get the reroll. So I didn't break, he gets pushed off, and that gives me another turn to shoot that unit and whittle it down. Then over here, I lose pretty much a full rank of greatswords, but I managed to kill one of the Minotaurs and inflict 1 or 2 wounds on the next one. He won combat again, but again, greatswords, I'm stubborn in the tower. I succeed my leadership and he gets bounced out. But I know I really can't take another charge like that, so I'm going to need to figure out some way to deal with those Minotaur before they just crush this castle flank. And I think the only person that has any chance to do so is Felix Weishoff, so I really need a good magic phase to deal with some of the stuff that's over here. And over here, rank and file, slam into rank and file, and the halberdiers lose bad. I think I've got 3, 6, 7 halberdiers left of the 18 that went into the fight. My general's still there. The Beastmen didn't lose very many at all. I think they lost 4 or 5, so I lost bad. But again, I'm in the building, so I'm stubborn, and I've got the reroll. So I managed to hold. The Beastmen get pushed back into their siege tower, and it gives me a chance to try and do something. I think this side is collapsing very, very quickly. All I can hope is that I can mount some sort of defense. At this point, I'm thinking my only hope is if I can get my swordsman to come on next turn. I've really got a straight shot between pretty much any side they show up on and the gate. So that's what I'm looking for my win condition at this point. So I don't move at all. I don't need to. During shooting, my magic phase, he pretty much, I got off a magic missile on the Minotaurs, and that's when I found out, because the magic missile from the School of Light is flaming, that's when I found out he had a 2-up ward save, but that's all I got off. But in shooting, I just rocked face on this one unit of Ungors, and managed to kill 2 more off the other one. So at this point, I'm just trying to clear the board in front of my gate so that when my swordsmen come on, they're just going to run like crazy for that gate and get me the win that way. At least that's what I'm hoping. So we go into Beastmen turn 2. The Gore herd here charges into the tower again. I stand and shoot with the rocks and don't manage to inflict any wounds. So I'm pretty sure, at least as I'm thinking this coming in, those Gore are going to give it to my halflings. They've been stout fellows up to this point, but they're really not a melee combat unit, and he's going to end up sweeping in there and getting that tower, that objective. Then over here, the Minotaur charge in, and with stand and shoot from the rocks, I kill one of the Minotaur, and the other one takes a wound. I know there's 2 dice there. Oh, the 1 dice there is marking that he won a combat, so he gets extra frenzy craziness. But so he's only got 2 wounds left on him. He's probably still going to rock face on some great swords, but I think I may have a chance if he doesn't just kill them all outright. Then over here, he just is reforming to stare at that tower. I think his plan is he's just going to kill enough so that those three dudes in the character will be able to sweep in and finish capturing that tower. So I hold his magic down to nothing, and he has no shooting left, so we go into close combat, and my halflings hold out. He kills 2 more halflings. I may have killed 1 more gore at this point. I'm having trouble counting them because they're blending into that black base. But I hold, and they get bounced out, and gives me another chance to try and whittle them down a little bit. And then up here in this north tower, there is crazy fluffing all around. He does no more damage to anything in the tower, and I managed to inflict a single wound back on him with the great swords. So he's got 1 wound left, but did he win combat? I think he won combat because there's 2 markers there. I'm not sure how, though. Maybe he killed somebody I'm not seeing. Either case, he gets bounced out, and he doesn't finish this off, which I think is the delaying tactic that I need, because this on the end of my turn 2 is when I can start rolling for the swordsman to come in and come rescue me. And unfortunately, it looks like I missed taking a combat picture, but during combat last time, his dudes in the siege tower just rocked the face off the rest of my halberdiers, but did not manage to kill the Archlector. Archlector, being stubborn, holds and essentially abandons the cannon to its fate in the tower. So this is my turn 2 movement, and the first thing I do is I get my general the hell out of that that tower section. He runs over here and joins the handgunners in the center tower set, or the center wall section here. And then over here, I move my BSB up into this tower, mainly just because I need some extra attacks. Because I'm thinking I fluffed badly on the Minotaur this time. I really can't afford him to thin down anybody else, so I figure I'll throw the BSB in there and see what happens. But it looks like I don't need to, because I did finally get a good magic phase, ended up banishing the Minotaur and just doing a ridiculous number of wounds to him, so he gets vaped where he's standing. And I managed to get the net of Amentok off on these gores, and it's pretty much, I think this might be actually after this, and yeah, this is his next turn. My swordsman failed to come on the board, so he charges. Net of Amentok doesn't go off, but the halflings manage to shoot 1 more gore down. So now it's 3 on 5, I think is what I'm seeing there. Over here, he is charging that big unit into the poor cannon. The cannon has no chance whatsoever. And I did, oh yeah, last turn I did shoot down more of these Ungor, so there's like 3 of them left. And this is him just measuring to try and shoot into that tower again, I think. No, actually I lie. The 3 Ungors that were left charged into that tower section to prevent me from fleeing again, I think was the ultimate idea, or prevent me from supporting the cannon, because you could actually take guys from a near wall section and support. But I stood and shot and killed all but 1 of them, but he did make it into combat with us, but he's gonna die a pretty horrible death. Over here, I think he tries to charge. No, that makes no sense. He didn't try to charge. He must have just repositioned here, and I took a picture of it for whatever reason. So for magic, I think he gets Wissen's Wild Form off on his big unit, which is totally unnecessary to kill a cannon. So we go into close combat, and here is finally where the poor halflings lose out. They die to a man, and the Ungors claim the southwestern tower. So at this point, he has 1 of the objectives. When his big unit kills the cannon, he'll have the second one. So if he can hold those for another 3 turns, it'll come down to points. If he can manage to swing my great swords out of that top tower and he holds it, he'll just win. And if he does that, I don't have much left to hold him off. So it's definitely not looking good for the Empire folks at this point. And as no one is really surprised, the cannon dies a horrible death, and he moves into here. So his whole unit and all his characters are in here as well. But he's actually put his BSB here because he's going to move him out so he can maintain hold on this wall piece and continue moving. So we go into Empire turn. And the men of the Empire realize that this is their last hurrah. They summon the courage of the legacy of Sigmar, and they fight back. The cannon here, I don't move anyone. The cannon here shoots a grape shot into the unit, kills the whole unit, and panics the Beastmen. I believe, yeah, panics the beast mage. Or maybe the mage is... Actually, I think the mage is dead. This is just like the champion from the unit, and he's running the other way. So, good job, King. And not to be outdone by a simple machine, Felix Weishoff turns around and uses banishment to vaporize the Gore unit in the southern tower. So at this point, I have completely cleared the entire left flank of the tower. I still don't know that I've got anything in the entire army that can handle the 26-something strong Gore horde, but I've got to do my best and hold on. Maybe the swordsmen will get here shortly. I'm sorry, I have to go back and correct something. The unit that panicked was not panicked from a cannon fire. It was actually panicked from a magic missile from Felix. So he got blasted, ran off, because in the shooting phase, which I should remember by this point after 51 freaking battle reports that shooting comes after magic, this cannon blows itself up. So, yeah. I guess not all the luck can be good. Looks like magic is with us. Technology, maybe not so much. So then, on the Beastmen turn, we push the Beastmen back on last combat, but all of the handgunners are dead. So the only one standing in this wall section is Heinrich von Grunberg, the Archlector of the Empire, favored of Sigmar. And so, in an ultimately cinematic moment, my opponent decides on his turn to leave his unit in the tower to hold it, because he needs to capture the point there, and charges his BSB out to deal with Heinrich von Grunberg. So, picture, if you will, atop the battered and beaten walls, the Archlector, hammer in either hand, facing down the, as you can see, much larger Wargore, already weakened and fatigued from hunger, calling upon Sigmar to grant him victory and to keep his arms straight as this Wargore comes to beat his ass. And over here, this last lone Gore, or Beast to Gore, obviously does not rally on double ones and runs off the table. And the Beast to Gores have an absolutely insane magic phase. He ends up pumping, I think he puts Wissens on, or no, he puts the Curse of Honor here on my general, so I'm hitting it -1. He ends up doing Flock of Doom on the Hellblaster volley gun section, ends up killing the Hellblaster, or no, he did it on my Engineer, and Engineer looked out, sir, ended up doing enough to kill the Hellblaster and put a wound on the Engineer. So it was a very, very potent magic phase for my opponent. But then we go into close combat. The Warrior Priest and the Wargore strike at the same time. The dark magics of the Beastmen prevent Heinrich von Grunberg from landing any of his mighty blows. And down comes the axe of the Bestigor. 3 hits against the armor of the Archlector. 3 failed armor saves. All he has is 2 wounds. I pick up my 3 dice for my ward save and throw 3 6s. The Bestigor has his axes blows stopped by the power of Sigmar himself. The flashing light drives the Bestigor away, and Heinrich stands firm, knowing that his god is with him. And being that the Wargore has nowhere to retreat to, dives over the edge of the wall and into the castle courtyard to get away from the obviously blessed Archlector. However, knowing that it is not wise to test the blessings of your god, on my next turn, Heinrich falls back to the defended gate area, for he realizes that even blessed as he is by Sigmar, 26 gore with additional hand weapons might be asking a little too much. So he and the engineer are holding pace with the gate, hoping beyond hope that we can outlast the slaughter of the Beastmen. And then, seeing his patron in trouble from the top of the wizard's tower, Felix Weishoff casts down a banishment that smites the Wargore into a smoking unconscious form in the courtyard. And then here you see, finally at the end of turn 5, the swordsmen from Altdorf arrive. The Beastmen had basically flown on their next turn. They came across, so they held 1 of the towers and a wall section, but they only held 1 of the 3 objective points, and as such were driven away from the fortress at Fort Garden. Rage, pure rage, filled the great Bray Shaman as he pulled his brother from the broken fort. "I will have you, my queen!" His words echoed throughout the ruined halls. "You will be mine, and these man-things will know my wrath!" As the remaining beastmen fled, carrying whatever dead humans and gear they could carry with them, back to the nearby forest to renew their numbers. Morgor knew he was being tested by the Great Ones, and he would not fail them. "Brother," Morgul spoke through sputtering coughs, "their God saved them. My blows were true, but no blood could be drawn." Morgor spun to his brother and laughed at his idiocy. "Dear little brother, these fools have no god. Only the gods of chaos are true." And as a wicked smile cracked his mouth, he laughed. "The Chaos Moon awaits their blood, and we will gather the largest herd ever, and wash over their lands, and soak ourselves in their blood." The time to release their father from his imprisonment was here. The great doom bull, Grox the demon, would be set free and unleashed unto the Empire, and soon they would know true terror. Whew, so, great, absolutely perfect last-minute victory for the Empire. Sorry if I got a little dramatic during the retelling of this battle, but I love it when we do something totally cinematic like that one-on-one duel, and it ends up turning out just amazingly. This game was a lot of fun. I thought I was screwed from early on with all those failed starvation checks, but it really kind of went back and forth, and once the momentum kept going my way, we were able to hold out just barely. So I was very, very happy with that. So where this takes the narrative from this point, obviously Heinrich von Gruenberg, the Archlector, knows that Sigmar is with him, and is going to be bringing Anya Snowmane, their captive, back to the Empire for questioning, and obviously to keep her away from the Beastmen who want her desperately. So it was a lot of fun. My list I felt was very strong. I obviously in a siege I wasn't going to use cavalry, so I think what I had was strong. I think the Wizard Tower upgrade was a perfect choice, which let me get those magic missiles to kind of essentially have Felix defend the whole left flank by himself. And really all I did on the right flank was slow the crumble enough to hold them off, and I think the very defensive builds that I give the Empire troops is really the best way to do that. Um, as far as my opponent's list, I think he's very much regretting spending the points on the Gorgon. I mean, obviously he loves his Gorgon and he's going to play it whenever, but it made just such a great target for those 2 early rounds of shooting. Um, so there's that. All in all, it's good. Now, just to let everyone know, the Beastman player is going to be taking a little break from them, mainly just to get them all painted because he's getting tired of fielding unpainted models. So the Beastmen are basically going on a recruiting drive to rebuild their numbers before they're going to show back up in the narrative again. But all in all, it was a fun game. Definitely helped to push the narrative along. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you have any comments, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. I'm very good about keeping up to date on those and getting back to anybody that writes. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. And I got one more that we were doing that night that I'm hoping to get up. I may be trying to build a little backlog of these because my wife will be giving birth in a week and a half at this point, maybe sooner. And I don't want to really leave too much time with no updates, so I'm not sure exactly when all of these are going to go up, but we're going to keep doing it and keep bringing you guys great narrative battle reports. So thanks for sticking with us, and we will catch you next time.